Today's Wednesday, May 10th, 2017, and you're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show.
You're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show, a weekly program dedicated to covering news and information on elevators, escalators, and moving walkways. Produced in the wee hours of the morning, a new show is uploaded every Wednesday, sometimes even before you get out of bed. Listen to some of the comments sent in from our audience.
Rob from New York writes, Tom, are you f***ing insane? You actually get up at 2 a.m. each Wednesday to put this show out? Man, you must love elevators. Tim from Illinois writes, I'm not sure why I listened, but ever since I tuned into the first show back in 2007, I've been addicted. Matt in Texas writes, I like your safety messages, Tom. It's important to remember them each and every day. And he also adds,
when am I going to win the monthly prize pack giveaway?
Ron from California sent this in. Despite your inability to pronounce words in the English language, I tune in each week and am glad that you offer this service to the industry. It's better than Google News alerts. Sarah from Washington writes, love the show, Tom, and look forward to it each week. I'm glad I signed up for the newsletter. You provide a valuable resource for the industry, not only for North America, but worldwide.
Enjoy the show. And now, here's your sleep-deprived host, Tom Seibert.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I know. I don't know what to tell you. Thank you. It sounds like that might be the Maury Povich or some other, who are those other guys out there that put those daily shows out? Anyway, it sounds like that could be one of their audiences. Anyway, it's good to be here. I'm Tom Seibert, your host, producer, and chief bottle washer for the Elevator Radio Show podcast. This is show number, I just had that here, 468, May 10th, 2017. And as always, thanks for joining us today. It is good to have you here. This week's program is not as uplifting or as positive as last week's, as the first two articles are basically ones that will, give you maybe a stomach ache or make you just somewhat sick to your stomach. So we'll get into those in a little bit. But we do have a shorter show today, and just a couple of reminders. The Elevator Safety Summit is coming up. The registration links are on the website, so if you haven't signed up, consider doing so. That is going to be a great event. Looking forward to that. Those links are in there. Also next week, the Chicago Elevator Association is holding their third annual scholarship fundraiser. So if you haven't considered sponsoring or signing up to attend that event, please do so over on the website. So without further ado, we're going to get into the show notes of today's program. I think it's that important of a show to share, that you share, I should say, with your clients, your customers, and your teammates, your employees, whatnot, so that preventable accidents can be prevented. So, without further ado, we'll get in. We'll cover the we will cover the show notes for this week, which is May 10th. And again, thanks for tuning in today.
Let this week's news stories give you a lift on what's happening in the vertical transportation arena. Each news segment is organically dug and fresh with news stories of the week. Got lift? If not, stay tuned.
So I apologize for the quick intro into the news content, but Microsoft did one of their famous Wednesday morning or Tuesday night patches, Microsoft Monday or whatever the heck they call it. And so literally I had two machines that wanted to update a whole bunch of stuff, which took longer than I was hoping. So anyway, you might have found that when you came into work Wednesday morning or this morning, depending on when you're listening to the program. And as always, you can pick up the program over at elevatorradioshow.com. You can also pick it up over on the iTunes website. And let's see here. Hold on one second. I'm just loading the first article, and I'm trying to load it so that you don't get blasted with an advertisement. You can also pick up the show or listen to the show by visiting blueberry.com. That's where our media is hosted, BLUBRRY.com. Also have some neat podcasts over there that you might want to subscribe to, and over on the YouTube channel. So lots of places to pick the show up. Also on Facebook, the links are there. It's so hard to keep track of everything. So anyway, first news article of the show talks about an investigative report by Fox 2 News or KTVU staff, which when you read the article that's linked in the show, there's really not a lot that says, that is shared there. But there is more. Here, bear with me one moment as this blasts through your ears. I hope it's not too loud. Just hang on to your. Anyway, it's a good article. It's a good piece. The investigative report has more to share on it, and kind of poses some questions. So I'm going to play it right now, and let's see if we don't get a commercial for some kind of furniture or whatnot. It seems, yes, we're going to get something. So
the first night in our new house, we definitely.
Okay, I'm going to just mute the commercial and we'll go into the news article. It's a pretty lengthy article, and it poses some interesting questions. And I always wish that when you get media involved in these kind of investigative reports, they go a little deeper than they do. And obviously, there are always other issues that may prevent elevators from being inspected or whatnot. And as you can see, it does no good to point fingers at each other, and more importantly, figure out solutions on ensuring that equipment is inspected. So here we go. We're going to go right into the article. Well, hold on there.
Offer something.
5 flights down and trapped inside.
I knew instantly I was hurt.
2 investigates, discovers that the state ordered that elevator to be shut down, and asks who is ultimately responsible for your safety.
You feel like they care?
2 investigates first told you about more than 11,000 elevators in California with outstanding problems. Many of them are here in the Bay Area and are used by unsuspecting riders.
State officials say expired permits aren't always a cause for concern, but as 2 investigates Candace Wynn found out, one man says maybe they should be. Candace.
That's right, Frank and Julie. Elevators are one of the safest modes of transportation around. But after months of investigating permit problems in the Bay Area, we found perhaps state officials should be more concerned about them. Yes, accidents are rare, but when they do happen, the results are often catastrophic.
Felt like it was the normal elevator ride. The door shut, started taking off like normal. Felt like a bomb went off or something. I knew instantly I was hurt.
The morning of February 22nd, 2016, Concord resident Michael Jordan reported to work at 333 Market Street in San Francisco, home to the Wells Fargo 33-story skyscraper. He was installing cart access systems when coworkers called him to another floor.
So I go up to the 9th floor through the elevator. One was going faster than it should.
Jordan's elevator dropped 5 stories when it came to a jolting, painful stop.
Felt like my whole lower leg shot out of my knee. Felt my spine make like an accordion effect. I said, "What happened?" I said, "I don't know." And they said, "Are you hurt?" I said, "Yeah." I was in there for 45 minutes.
At San Francisco General, doctors treated Jordan for a bulging disc in his back and a fractured femur. He says surgery wasn't an option, so he lives in pain.
My daughter, my youngest, is almost 3. And I basically missed out on a year of her life.
An accident investigation report shows a lay or twisted strand in the rope broke and tripped the governor, which is a device that triggers the safety and brakes if the elevator goes too fast.
It was just chaotic.
In February, 2 investigates discovered 11,000 elevators in California with outstanding inspection requirements. 756 were in San Francisco alone. At the time, we asked the state, is public safety at risk?
I would not be overly concerned. I don't believe it's a critical problem. Like I say, the duty resides with the building owner to keep them safe.
When I watched your interview, they were saying, well, just because the permit's expired doesn't mean anybody's going to get hurt. Well, I'm an example of somebody got hurt.
After Jordan's accident, an inspector found that specific elevator at 333 Market Street had a permit that was not current, and the entire building was in need of reinspection. 2 investigates found records showing more problems. In July 2014, nearly 2 years before the accident, the state ordered building management to shut the elevator down.
Okay, my question is, I know in certain localities, the inspector can actually lock the elevator out. It may not have been an option, but if an elevator is ordered to be shut down or locked out because it's unsafe, man, I think something should be done on that, right?
Records show management requested a new inspection the following year, but the state had no record of any inspection or permit issued after that.
The state is ultimately the lead authority on inspecting elevators.
Michael Fagan is a national elevator consultant. He is not involved in Jordan's case.
They really do need state inspectors to go out and inspect elevators, and they do a very good job for the staff that they have, but they're struggling to find people that are qualified.
Ultimately, who is responsible for keeping an elevator safe?
The owner of the building is responsible as a non-delegable duty for the safety of their elevators.
2 investigators went to the building, to the office of the facility manager, Josh Petler.
Finishing up a call right now. I'll be out in a minute. Great.
Petler said he'd speak with us. He had us wait and wait and wait for 5 hours.
5
Hi,
hours.
it's Candace with KTVU here. We've been waiting for 5 hours. Are you
So-
going to come out and speak with us?
So for those of you like not watching the video, like they've got a
Are you hiding?
they got a door
The state
and a
told
window above the
building
door,
management to shut it down in 2014, and 2 years later it had an accident. Are you
and you see the cameraman putting his camera up to look at the guy at the computer door, you know, at the desk, and like all of a sudden the reporter's knocking at the door, and he like goes to the right and tries to hide. Oh, it's awful.
able just to provide some sort of explanation about what happened in between that time? We're just wondering, is he hiding inside?
I can't answer that question.
The facility manager never did come out. A Wells Fargo spokesman
Doesn't seem
later
like a hard
emailed
question to answer.
Investigates records showing the elevator permit expired in 2015, more than a year before Jordan's accident. They also gave us a copy of their request for an inspection and directed us to ask the state why it was never performed. They never explained why they kept that elevator in use all that time. Do you feel like they care?
No, they don't care. I mean, they're a big corporation. They don't care. They'll just try to pay me off and keep it quiet.
Jordan says the feeling of falling he experienced is far from coming to a sudden stop.
I've been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I have really bad anxiety and panic attacks.
Can you get on an elevator again?
I'll check the permit, and if it's expired, I won't get on that elevator.
He says he knows millions use elevators every day and barely think twice about whether they're safe in them, unless, like him, they're forced to.
It could have been anybody. I just happened to draw the short straw.
Again, generally speaking, riding in elevators is extremely safe. Out of the millions of rides there were in California the last couple years, the state tells me they've investigated, quote, only a handful of serious accidents. But as we mentioned, when they do happen, they often don't end well, and which is why Jordan wanted to share his story.
Well, speaking of the state, does the state hold any responsibility when something goes wrong?
So this is how the state explained it to me. The state is responsible for inspecting and permitting these elevators, but ultimately it's up to building management to go in and fix things or shut down that elevator if necessary. On the other hand, building owners have complained to us that they've requested permits and inspections, but no one from the state would come out. It would take months and months, and we have records showing that it's taken 7, 8 months, and the state actually acknowledges that's a problem as well.
All right,
But they say it is still up to building management to essentially bug them and get them to come out.
Still can't believe it.
It's a tough situation. So, hey, Fox News, hey, how about investigate how much money is put into through the DOB inspection programs to hire inspectors, train them, and to inspect the amount of elevators that they have to inspect. This is a serious concern. It's a serious issue. And at the end of the day, if there's not enough money to hire inspectors to do the job they're supposed to be doing, it makes it very difficult to inspect the number of conveyance devices that are out there. That's one thing. Number two is give the inspectors the tools they need. That automate the process. I mean, and I'm not talking about San Francisco or California, but if you've got an inspection, entity that, and I'm just hypothetically talking here, okay, and I'm just throwing numbers out there that nobody should actually question me on or actually, say, where'd you get those numbers? But say, just theoretically, you've got a city called Springfield, and you have 1 million conveyance devices. I know these are exaggerations by, obviously, and you have an internal or a state-run or a city-run inspection program that you have 4 inspectors. How are you going to inspect that many elevators in the time that you have to do so? So I know in some some areas that I've been involved with, the pushback from from building owners has been pretty significant in the sense that you'll see, they don't want to pay a whole lot of money for inspections, and so inspections have been kept at a very low level. But regardless, it's if safety is critical to cities and states, they definitely should invest in the inspection in the Department of Buildings programs to ensure that they are, I'm not saying making money or necessarily, sticking it to the building owner, but they have got to know that there is from a feasibility standpoint, the number of conveyance devices out there compared to the number of inspectors that are there to inspect, depending on what state or city or whatever, is just so offset and off kilter. But the tools too. If you were watching the video, Fox News had literally the inspection report from that specific elevator that was involved in this accident, and what it shows you, lots of notes. It's all handwritten. How does that information get translated into a computer system? I mean, again, I've dealt personally with cities, not a lot of them, but in the cases that I have dealt with, automating that process so that, keeping track of violations, inspections, re-inspections, stuff like that. If you don't invest and automate that process, you are just adding more labor, more issues, more delay to the already overworked inspection force that are out there right now. So this is a significant issue, pointing fingers at, from the inspectors to the building owners and building owners and inspectors. It is a group collaborative effort here. And if an elevator is unsafe to be used, it should be locked out, tagged out. Perhaps maybe elevator contractors are the ones that need to be notified immediately. Maybe they are. One, there's a violation or there's a situation that elevators need to be shut down. The building owner, is not the expert when it comes to the equipment. And if they are not going to do anything, then I would, as a contractor, get the hell away from that job as quickly as I possibly could. But anyway, I'm sure I'm misciting something or misinformed on many of the points that I made. Perhaps not. I don't know. It's going to be an ongoing issue as state funding and city funding is shrunken and shrunken. And there's really not a huge, I don't think a perfect, there's not a perfect situation out there, unfortunately. So, but yeah, it's an ongoing issue for sure. So anyway, feel free to share your posts, your links, your comments over on the Facebook page, which is Elevator Radio Show, something over there on Facebook. So, okay, next news article is extremely sad and just turned my heart upside down, inside out. And I don't have the correct link in the show notes so when I click on it, it's not going to go where it needs to go. But an 8-year-old was killed in a home elevator accident in South Carolina, which, again, we see these once every 2 years or so. And it's really, truly unfortunate. We need to do our best to try to educate anyone that has a home elevator that these devices are not toys. They should not be played on. Kids need to be watched because they get into everything. I think my youngest kid was unlocking my iPhone when he was probably 7 or 6 or 5. So the reality is kids are curious. They do stupid stuff. I did plenty of stupid things. I got to tell you, so many stupid things that I'm surprised I'm still alive. So we have to do our best as parents, as adults, as uncles, as grandfathers, grandpas, grandmas, aunts, whatever, to do our part to ensure that, kids, parents understand that, you got to be careful. And home elevators, depending on how old they are or how new they are, could pose potential accident situations or whether there's too much space in between doors or whatever. I don't have the details on this, but it's still awful. So please just share the news. I do have the link up here for the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation Home Safe campaign. Click on that. Feel free to print it out or share it with your clients that do have home elevators any chance that you can. All right. So that's really important to do. Okay, next news article, the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation has launched their online safety campaign. So this is a YouTube online video marketing type of program. So if you're looking at YouTube videos, good chance that you are going to see the Safety Rider pre-roll ad, which is pretty cool. The press release, PR web, and also Benzinga.com has the actual press release that has been sent out, and which is pretty cool. So, campaign to date has reached 8.7 million kids, and it's growing. So that's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting stuff. So we'll see what the fruits of this labor marketing campaign are in the foundation's efforts in getting the program into major metropolitan areas online. So I'm excited to see what kind of results we start seeing in about a month and a half. So pretty cool. Okay, kind of a scary situation in Atlanta. Apparently, inside Atlantic Station elevator, there were, Atlantic Station residents stated that two men, after these two passengers and residents of this building were robbed by two men, one with a shotgun, which is kind of brazen, isn't it? When you think about it, but still scary, and not the kind of, normally it's just battery that occurs in an elevator, not necessarily armed robbery. So so be careful out there, and remember, security cameras are a good thing to have. Okay, next link is the Chicago Elevator Association Night at the Races link, and again, make sure you get registered for that event. It is going to be fun. It is the cost $65 per person. The scholarship fundraising committee is currently reviewing the recipients or the applications for this year's, the 2017 applications, and those names of the winners will be announced shortly. Great event, great thing to support. Next news article is from Kali Elevator in their blog. Craig wrote an excellent article talking about accidents in the hoistway and non-elevator trades, and there's a link in here from the state fire marshal, but some great points, Craig, and I appreciate you thanking me for doing the radio show. I greatly appreciate that, and also linking up the Elevator Safety Summit, which is further down in the link. So, I think it's going to be, what comes out of that event is going to be some pretty interesting and, how do I say this? I'm excited at the direction safety is going to take coming out of the summit. I think it's time that every aspect of safety is looked at, and steps are taken to ensure that we're thinking about it every day. If there's one fatality, whether it's passenger, child, worker, construction worker, whatever, that's one too many in my book. So looking forward to that. Next news article: Turkey, please ride escalators properly. The title of this article is awful because it's not actually true. Horrifying moment when 9-year-old boy disappears down to his waist in an escalator, and his mother just desperately tries to free him. He really didn't disappear, but what happened was he went running up the down escalator, fell, and got caught on the side. So again, this just poses the importance of the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation, and regardless of being in Turkey, I mean, if people don't understand that these are not these are not toys, these are not amusement rides, these should be respected. These kind of accidents and incidents are going to continue to happen, especially worldwide. But I guarantee this happens in the United States as well. I guarantee it. They're not being published like they are online here for a slow news day. And this is why you never try to stop closing elevator doors. TheDailyBulletin.com has an article. Let me get out of this pop-up ad. Hold on a second. Thank you. Apparently in Rancho Cucamonga, deputies and firefighters were called into a rescue a toddler stuck in an elevator Monday morning shortly before 10:30 a.m. Apparently, two sheriff's deputies arrived moments before firefighters try to find a man with his arms stuck in the elevator doors, and bystanders trying to pry them open. So, of what I understand of the situation, this is normal passenger door center opening. His daughter, I believe, ran into the elevator, and it started taking off when the father put his hand in the closing doors, and they didn't reverse. So, unfortunately, the firefighters were smart enough to say, okay, well, let's take your hand out and let the elevator run. She's going to be okay. And that's what they did. But still kind of scary that the doors actually, pinned this guy's arm, which really should never have happened, so I don't know, kind of scary. Could have been a lot worse, but I'm glad it wasn't. Next news article: escalator hasn't moved since last year. If you have enough time in your day to be pissed off about an escalator not working at a New Jersey Transit,
Lord and Taylor Super Sale.
Sorry about that. You have too much time on your hands and your priorities are not set correctly, especially with some of the articles that we talked about today. And the media is at fault for basically going through and interviewing a bunch of people that ride this station every day or travel through the station who are upset. I mean, there's an elevator, use the elevator, or use the stairs, for goodness sakes. You know, come on, it's, and I'm not defending the fact the escalator has or has not been out of service for a year. I am more upset about the everyday bystander who seems awfully pissed off about it and wants it changed and wants it updated. And I think, that the reality is that if the funding isn't there to fix the escalator, I think transit and officials should state that or state the reason why it's not fixed. Because it has to be more than just a part that might be difficult to get. I'm sure cost is a significant part of that. And when you have the general riding public literally just demanding that things be done on a dime or a moment's notice, they are so out of reality on so many levels that I just, listen to this. I'm like, come on, man. It's like, media. I hate watching the news. I just hate it. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. 10 o'clock news, it's the worst. Any of the news is the worst. It's just, I don't know. Even this is the worst. I don't know. Next news article doesn't say a whole lot, but we talked about this article or this the audit that came out last month regarding the MTA. And this one was posted in the Queen's Chronicle. And again, I just got to read it. I'm like, I'm not quite sure really what it's saying. Maybe somebody can share with me exactly what it is saying. But comptroller audit and ADA lawsuit challenged commitment to disabled. MTA accessibility maintenance were critiqued. Now, the numbers in this article are just numbers to some extent. They're talking about inspections that hadn't been performed, and that there were definitely some inspection failures. So, the long and short of it, maintenance is required. This equipment is pretty significantly used in the transit setting. But it's talking about percentages and whether or not, that's acceptable for those that are disabled. It doesn't really talk about how many elevators necessarily were out of service at one time. But anytime you've got an accessibility group that are fighting, and launching a lawsuit like this, nobody wins. Well, actually, the accessibility group will win eventually. But in some cases, the subway system was built before accessibility was even something that people looked at. So that's part of the problem, I imagine, is what prevents some of the stations from having elevators or whatnot. I'm not quite sure, but again, the article doesn't really say a whole lot. Doesn't talk about elevators or escalators being down. There's percentages thrown out there in terms of deficiencies and maintenance not being performed, but not a whole lot, other than that. And the last news article for this week's program, Snopes.com, has an article, and I just want to share this with everybody. And I don't like calling anything, fake news. I really hate that because, it's tied into somebody who kind of coined the phrase. But I do get bothered with websites that want to be the first to just spew crap that has nothing to do with anything instead of trying to investigate or provide some type of true take on the story, because there are so many sites out there that just want to be the first to get something up or regurgitate some viral video so that YouTube links ads, blah, 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 and they make millions of dollars, which never happens. So I just thought this was funny because I had not heard this story before, but apparently there was a fake news article, that was launched. I don't remember seeing it ever, that was talking about a stuck 71 hours in an elevator, a man kills and needs his wife to survive. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's false. I don't even know when this was actually, it was published on April 18th, 2017. It's the entertainment website World News Daily reported publishing a fake news article claiming Bruce Franklin. Anyway, so why do people post this kind of crap? I don't understand. Anybody? I don't know. It's a little concerning. I don't even know why there's a new news website out there that has to actually investigate stupid stuff like this, but it did. Anyway, yeah, where is the world coming to? I don't know. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week's show. Sorry to kind of ramble through it so quickly. Hope you enjoyed the Fox's segment, and that was, I think, pretty enlightening and worthy of sharing. So as always, be safe out there. Practice safety. Make sure you go home each and every day, no matter what aspect of the industry you're in, and do your part to spread that word as well. So everybody have a great rest of the week, a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.